So let's go into some of my my favorite topics. Okay, I love reading, and you as an author, right? So you have the opportunity to tell us about your books. But I normally ask my guests to give us 5 books. Now you're an author, 2 books, right? So your 2 books will come first, and then you find 3 other books to tell us about. Now, take your time, describe your book, talk about them. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I actually have 3 books, but
Oh, okay.
two is around baby loss, and then one isn't about baby loss.
Okay.
So with the baby loss books, the first is Always a Mom: How I Survived My Baby Loss, and for
Mm.
me, this was like the kind of questions I kind of had in my head, while I was processing all the things that happened to me, those early days, those couple of months, while I was trying to figure out exactly, what really happened here. Why
So
did all of this happen to
the
me?
title is what? Oh,
Always a Mom. You
oh,
might not be able to see
I
it.
can
Yeah,
see
you can't see. Don't worry. Okay, but it's called Always a Mom. It's all on my
all
website.
always a mom. Okay,
Yeah,
oh, good, good.
so it's on my website, funkeoham.com.
Okay.
So I talked about,
It's not on Amazon.
it is on Amazon.
Okay,
Well,
good.
I think some of it, not everything. I think
Okay.
one, yeah, I think the ebooks are available, and then the memoir, which is like a recent one, you can
Mm.
get that. You can get
So
the hard copy as well.
where can people find it on your website?
So funkeoham.com, and
Okay.
also on Amazon.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if you are in Nigeria, Roving Heights Bookshop.
Okay. Good. Good. All
Yeah,
right.
so Always a Mom, I think it was more about kind of the process I went through. And it was meant to be like a book you can pick up, even you can read in like 1 or 2 hours, depending on how fast you read it. It's
Okay.
very intriguing. People have said to me they can't put it down. And I talked about, the fears I had, for subsequent pregnancies, because I told you, I had different medical prognoses,
Yes.
how I actually got to actually start living again after my loss, and then
Mm.
how I found purpose in my pain. And then some of the questions I had around motherhood, should I celebrate Mother's Day? What does that mean for me? So even
Ooh.
while I lost my children, what does that mean for me? And then when I
Mm.
was trying to conceive, what does that mean for me? So what does motherhood? Because when people, and that's why I came up with the name Always a Mom. Because
Yeah.
some people kind of said to me, "Oh, your babies are dead, so you don't have it. You're not a mom."
Mm.
But I said I'm always going to be a mom because they're alive in heaven. So to me, that was where that name came from. That I will always be a mom. So sometimes I say I'm a mom of 4, sometimes I say I'm a mom of 2, and either way they're still correct to me. So I can choose to
Okay.
acknowledge them and talk about them. But in fact, I'm not talking about them doesn't mean they are not mine or they never existed.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's also changing that narrative about acknowledging people's children, even though they're not here,
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they never existed. So some people kind of they have a slogan that says say their name. So the fact that they're not here doesn't mean I can't say their name or
Mm.
remember
Mm.
them
Mm.
or recognize that they existed. So it's important that women that have been through this, that their babies are not forgotten, and
Yeah.
they are recognized as mothers, whether you physically saw the baby or not. As far as that baby was conceived,
Yeah.
to that mom, that baby existed.
Okay.
So yes, I talked about just different things that kind of why did this happen to me? How I dealt with my broken heart. Why am I not even a mommy to start with? I couldn't understand. With bad things happen to good people. So
Yeah.
it has about 30 kind of short reflections
Yeah.
on those questions. So there are 30 kind of different topics, but they're all
Very
very
good.
short and sweet.
Okay.
And so many people can read in a couple of hours. So Believe is my memoir. That's kind of my book, and that's my
Yeah.
story undiluted. I didn't hide
Mm.
anything. From the very beginning, from the moment I got married, all my aspirations, our goals, our dreams, to the time I conceived, to the time I lost my babies, and then to the time my 2 sons were born. That story, because I just felt it had to be told. Even funny
Yeah.
enough, when I read the story, even now, sometimes I can't remember all the things I went through, and I'm glad I documented it because
Yeah.
I'm thinking, did I actually go through all of that? Is this the journey I walked
Yeah.
through? So
See,
sometimes I can't even
we tend to
recognize.
forget things. That's why it's good to.
Absolutely.
That's why it's good to document. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm.
so I'm so glad I documented it because I look back and I really see how far I have come.
Yeah.
And also the importance of speaking up for yourself, especially when you're a Black woman, is
Mm.
important. Especially when you've been, we know what the stats are against us. It's important to speak up for yourself and advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
I talked about what helped me through that journey. And there's also a poem I kind of wrote as well, through that journey and reflection of my whole kind of journey. So that's kind
Good.
of belief. And then,
Good.
shortly after because I used to work with women, I talked about I had a mentoring platform.
Yeah.
But after the losses, I just couldn't deal with that. I closed
Mm.
everything. I just thought I can't deal with that. Closed everything. I just needed the headspace. I needed to deal with what was going on with me. And then not too long after, I had two boys. So the year I lost my daughter that was born premature, the same year at the end of the year, I had my son.
Wow.
So I kind of got busy. Then 3 years after, I had another son. But one of the things I realized towards as so I now had the family,
Yeah.
living children as well, and I realized that there was still more to me because uh, I kind of waited for this all my for a very long time, wanting to be
Yeah.
a mother. But now I was now a mother. I also realized, what, there's a lot to me than motherhood. So motherhood is not just it's not my start and end.
Mm.
There's a lot more to me, and that was where the third book came from. Well, but third book, but second book that was published. That I now came up with a story that is more to me. And
Yeah.
what inspired that was I lived with my uncle in Ibadan, my dad's junior brother and his family.
Yeah.
And he had this Russian dolls in his study. So my uncle traveled the world. He's a vet doctor, and
Okay.
he worked with WHO. He's a professor as well, and
Okay.
traveled around the world. And so I was always fascinated with all the stories he told when he traveled. But there was a particular Russian doll in his study that was very intriguing for me. So with the Russian doll, each time you open it is another doll inside, and you open it is
Ah.
another doll, and then some have up to 15 sets, some have 20. And for
Wow.
me, as a young girl, I was just so fascinated with this concept, and that was where the concept for the book came from. That even within us, you might think, oh, it's just because what you see at the top is just one Russian doll, but if you
Yeah.
don't open it, you don't realize there's another, and then you open it,
Yeah.
there's another, and there's
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
I just realized that there was a lot of layers to me
To
as a
you.
person. There's a lot more that, I don't even know about and people have not even seen. And that's the concept of the book, that there's more to
To
you. So
you.
every one of
Wow.
us, there's more.
Interesting.
So no matter your past, no matter your achievements, no matter your limitations, no matter your failures, no matter your successes, there's still a lot more to us. But what is special about this book was I didn't write it all by myself. I wanted to bring all like different women all across the world
Yeah.
to contribute to this book. So it's a quote book,
Okay.
and it has we looked at 5 themes. For us to be more, we have to learn more, we have to be more, see more, live more, and love more. So the
Very
75
good.
women contributed on those 5 different aspects,
Mm.
and kind of
Mm. Mm.
shared their own perspective on what that means. So yeah, so it's funny that I did the book. The book was from conception to publishing was about 2 months. So that's the fastest book I've ever been
Okay.
involved in. So it's one of my proud. In the middle of that, I was actually also moving house, and I had 2 young kids at that point.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's a very special book because it was a collaboration, but it's also the fact that women came together to achieve something amazing, and it was published on International Women's Day, and that
Okay.
was my 37th birthday. So it's a
Wow.
very, very special book to me, and also the significance of what that Russian doll means. That there's so much more to us. So yeah, so that's the third book.
Yeah.
The other books that have influenced me, there are quite a few other ones, but one of the key books that has influenced me for more than 3 decades, personally for me, is the Bible. So I know you get a lot of recommendations. I'm not sure if anyone has ever said that here, but for
See,
me, it's personal.
so many people have said, see,
Thank
uh,
you.
like I said, I'm not religious. That means I'm no longer religious, but in my younger days, I was. Okay, I went to church. Not only went to church, I asked a lot of questions, read a lot of religious history, Christian history. I've read the Bible cover to cover several times. So, and I will tell you, the Bible is one of my most influential books ever. Okay, So see, I beg my children to pick it up and read because they come to me complaining about this, that. I tell them, read this. The Bible talks about it. Yeah. The Bible
Okay,
is,
so
yeah.
yeah, so it's a book that's transformed my life and helped me through all kinds of seasons, the good, the not so good, the stretching, getting out of my comfort zone, and I think it's just very fascinating because I've been a Christian for over 3 decades, and for me, it's a book that will never grow old. I keep on learning,
Yep.
I keep on being inspired, and I think for me, it's not just a book; it's a book that speaks to me. So I'm not just reading like a storybook, but I'm also hearing God's voice as I read that Bible. So
Mm.
for me, it's instructional, it's a guide, it's a
Yeah.
comfort, it's a comfort, it's direct, it's directional in terms of choices I'm making. And I think it's just life transforming. So personally, yeah, so I that's kind of my
The
fourth
Bible,
book.
yes. Thank you.
And I had two other books, but the last one, because you
No,
said five.
tick. So tick, go on, go on.
Okay, so the next one is my husband's book.
Okay,
So I think this is a book he published in what year was this? I think in 2012.
okay.
It's called Seed Business, and for me, I think this book,
Seed business. Okay,
yeah, it's a book every African should read.
okay. He's an
Especially when
entrepreneur.
he's an entrepreneur, he's also an
Mm,
academic, but
mm.
I think he's a book that I think it was just revolutionary when I read it. It says think big but start small, and I
Oh,
think
okay.
for us as Africans, we want to have a whole new Africa,
Mm-hmm.
but we need to start small. And
Small,
I think for
yes.
me, and he said, the key thing here is that God has given everyone a seed, and that's all that we need to succeed. So it's a seed, it's a seed.
I need to talk about I need to talk to him about that.
So it's all about seed stage. So we all have something. There's no one that was born without nothing. And
Yep.
all that we need, we've got that in that seed. And with seeds, you have to plant it. There's work to be done. You have to
Okay.
plant it to get the results. And there are different kinds of seeds. So some results, maybe you get them in 3 months, you get them in
Yep.
10, in 1 year, some is
Very
like 20
good.
years, you
See,
know. So
Mr.
yeah,
Jim Rohn talks about
yes.
that. Yeah. Very,
Yeah,
very interesting, interesting analogy. Yes, about life.
yeah, yeah. So it's a very, very it's a very
Impactful thing. Yeah.
impactful book. Yeah, I mean, and I feel that with Africa, and he's very
Title
passionate about
again.
Africa. Seed business,
State business. Okay.
seed business. So think big, but start small.
Start small. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Very
So, and
good.
I think that will help us in Africa as we talk about bringing change and
Yeah.
transformation. That we have big dreams, but we need to start, and we can start small with what
Good.
we have, and that will get us eventually to where we want to be.
Very
So
good.
yeah, and the last book I would say is a book I read about 14 years ago.
Okay.
I can't remember the content, every content, but I know that the book shaped my life, and
Okay.
it was kind of interesting because I was trying to do a quick review on the book and to jog my memory on what it was I read. And it was interesting that one of the things it's called How to Win and Influence
Oh,
People.
okay. Can
Dale, Dale. I think
Dale
it's Dale. I'm not sure.
Carnegie.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
Carnegie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I read that book, it really transformed
Yep.
transformed me. And I can't remember exactly, but I just knew that when I read it, and I think that's helped me in terms of all the initiatives I run because,
Yep.
you know, I kind of do a lot of nonprofit stuff and I do get a lot of support. And I believe that's kind of one of the books that shaped, that journey in terms of, getting support, seeking advice, getting people on board and securing buy-in. And I think
Yes.
that really helped. So it's all about, how to connect to people,
People. Yes.
how to get the best from people and also get buy-in. So it's not just, and how to do it in a nice way, not in a
Yep.
nasty way. I think
Yep.
that was the key thing there for me. And I think one of the quick reviews I read today was talking about one of the things he said in the book was remembering people's names, and that's something
Yep.
I'm very particular about. So I guess maybe that's where I got it from. So yeah, there are a lot of things maybe I do without even remembering where I got it from, but I know that
Mm.
book really transformed me, and I felt,
Yeah.
this was an amazing read, and
See,
transformational read.
that's a book. That's a book I read maybe definitely over 10, 20 years ago now. Uh, I it's it did so much good for me that I bought the the teenage version
Okay.
for my daughters. Okay. Unfortunately, these young people don't read so much.
Are you
Okay.
telling me?
Okay. I read a lot, and somehow they look at me as strange, because I mean, when my first daughter turned 18 2 years ago, I bought 5 books. That was my present for her. I gave her 5 books. Well, I unfortunately I can't tell you today that she has read all of them. But I tell them these things I tell you and I share with you. If you come back to me in 10 years, 20 years, I will still say the same thing. So
Mm.
it's good for you to start getting them into your head. I'm not going to change. Anyway,
I'm sure one
that
day
that
they'll
that
pick it
that
up.
book that book I say what I say because I know when they are in different situations, they will remember what Daddy said, even if they didn't appreciate it when I said it. They will
True.
say, "Okay, Daddy said this. Okay, maybe it will help them." Thank you very much. Thank you, thank
My
you, thank you very
pleasure.
much.